Good morning, all. Let me welcome you all to this National Conference on Coastal Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience. I thank you for sparing your valuable time and taking all the pains to come to this place to attend this conference, despite the traffic congestions, diversions, and blockades because of visit of US President Sri Donald Trump. I thank that the respective departments who have actually nominated you and you have come here. Now, let's begin with the program. I have this opportunity and privilege to invite Shri GVV Sharma ji and request ED NADM Shri Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal ji to accompany him to the dais. I invite DG IMD, Dr. Mahapatra ji, to kindly join on the dais, and Dr. R.K. Bhandari sir to kindly join on the dais for the inaugural program. We welcome all the dignitaries on the dais, delegates and speakers on the other side of the dais. On behalf of NADM and on my personal behalf as conference coordinator for this program. I would like to just briefly tell that this conference on coastal disaster risk reduction and resilience has come up as part of national level activities by the Specialized Center on Coastal Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience at National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, New Delhi. As part of its activity, as per mandate of Disaster Management Act 2005, Section 42 and 43, we have been undertaking various kinds of activities, including training, capacity development, organization of conferences, seminars, workshops, and also compilation and dissemination of knowledge and resources related to disaster risk reduction and resilience, along with various kinds of frameworks and declarations done in the field of disaster management, including the agreements which has been ratified by Government of India. As part of those agreements and Prime Minister's agenda, 10-point agenda on disaster risk resilience and Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, we have undertaken this activity for organizing this national conference. Without standing much in between you and the dignitaries on the dais, I would request ED NIDM Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal ji to kindly give a welcome address on this occasion.
Jai Hind to everyone. Heartiest welcome to Shri GVV Sharma ji, Member Secretary, National Disaster Management Authority, Shri Mahapatra ji, DG IMD, Shri R.K. Bhandari ji, eminent expert in this field, and all delegates and participants who are of the dais. First of all, I congratulate Professor Surya Prakash in conducting this much needed workshop seminar when our country is faced with so much of tragedies along the coast. We are aware that we have nearly 7,500 kilometers of coastline covering nearly 13 coastal districts, states and 84 districts, which are ravaged by the natural disasters, natural hazards time and again. About 40% of the population lives within 100 kilometers of this coastline. Hence, the loss to life and property is very huge. One is the immediate loss, and one is the future loss. When people are losing their livelihoods, the business continuity is interrupted, the development of the nation is interrupted, and hence there is a need to study this aspect more and come out with some solutions. Even our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, he approved the coastal regulation zone notification in 2018, which is an important landmark because that has set into motion a large number of activities parallelly at the central level and at the state level. So there is a need to develop an integrated coastal zone management system with a diverse geographical spread, which can have elements of like international integration plan, whole of jurisdiction integration plan, your regional scale integration plan, local area integration plan, and finally site level integration plans. So such plans are being developed. There is a program by NDMA, which will be spoken of later in the day in detail, which covers all these issues and how they will explain to us how they have been co-opting DRR and R into the coastal areas. And all this has to be done in a consensual style of approach by including all the participants, all the stakeholders who are involved. And that is the very reason why we have come together today for this workshop, so that we can discuss and come out with a framework as to what else needs to be done. To take stock of the present initiatives, identify the gaps and challenges, and formulate a framework. So this particular national conference has got a slightly different format, unlike our other conferences, where we are organizing 6 thematic parallel sessions after the plenary session, and then the outcome of those discussions, thematic discussions, will be presented and will be discussed threadbare by all, so that we come out with some concrete and implementable solutions. So here I hope that this whole seminar serves its purpose and does not become another educational seminar, and the recommendations of this seminar are taken note of in by every stakeholder who needs to deal with it. With this, I once again thank each and every one of you for being here, for being part of this seminar, and I thank the dignitaries on this dais that they have taken out time from their busy schedule and come and graced this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for welcoming all the delegates and providing information related to this conference. Now I have the opportunity to invite Dr. R.K. Bhandari, who is Chairman of Disaster Management Committee at Indian National Academy of Engineers, and also he is a distinguished professor at IIT Roorkee. So I welcome him and request him to kindly deliver his address.
Respected Sri G.V. Sharma Sahab, Member Secretary NDMA, Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, ED NIDM, Dr. Mahapatra, Dr. Surya Prakash, distinguished delegates to this meeting, ladies and gentlemen. The focus of this meeting ought to be the concept note presented, and it should lead to free and frank discourse and indeed a nationwide debate on many things. One of the very important points is that whereas we are overwhelmed with the problems, many of us don't take time out to know about our strengths as a nation and the synergy of strengths and what we can achieve by a coordinated activity. We have a new face of NDMA and member secretaries with us. We have national policy. We have huge weight of experience in dealing with disasters. We have guidelines produced by NDMA in large numbers. NIDM has been doing events at the state-of-the-art level. We have nodal agencies in the country one of the few countries who can claim to have the tsunami warning and monitoring system as good as ours. In fact, only Australia, Colombia, Indonesia, and Italy and Japan are those who come in that bracket. We are a member country of the International Charter of Space and Major Disasters for sharing satellite data. Only USA, UK, China, France, Germany, Brazil, Japan, and Canada, they are the other. India has also a space-based global observation system. Only China, France, Japan, Korea, USA, and EU has that. So many of us don't even know what these great things that India has done can do to improve our way of working. India has a strong seismological network. IMD DG is here. He will certainly tell you about that. We have a powerful team of information communication technologists, artificial intelligence. NDMA could be justly proud of the cyclone risk mitigation project. I don't go into the detail because in this very meeting you are going to have a full-fledged presentation on this. All I would say is that the second phase we started in July 2015. It also goes into other details which were not covered earlier, like underground cabling to protect power lines. In the context of India, therefore, having known this strength, you must also not forget that you have to think big. It's a huge country, and those statistics I will not mention, but I have to say here that huge, long length of coastline, 2,700 kilometers on the east coast, 3,000 kilometers on the west coast, 5 to 6 cyclones annually, 2 or 3 of them are severe, and you have enormous information on the pattern, the distribution, the types of disasters we get. You have the powerful codes of practices, design code of practices, just to mention IS 15498 of 2004, which gives you guidelines on cyclone resistance at low-rise buildings and structures. You also have another code I won't mention for shortage of time. Like that, you have on typology, on cyclone shelters, the work of SERC, and so on. So if you put that all together, it's a very impressive strength that we have distributed across the country. Now, challenges. We have the most formidable challenge we have is the urbanization because ours is an emerging economy. And there also, you don't have to discover the wheel. Maybe it will be an inferior wheel you try to discover because lot of water has flown down the Ganges. We have discussed this subject threadbare, starting from the high-powered committee which met in 1999 and gave its report in October 2001. All you have to remember is that technology and times are changing faster than we change ourselves. Also, disaster scenarios are becoming far more dreadful than you and I could imagine. And therefore, we have to have the ability to anticipate the disasters before they occur. Infrastructure sector is growing huge, complex, and demanding. We should be aware of what are the national needs because you can't just look after disasters and their mitigation unless you know that the safety would also have to recognize the safety of the infrastructure. Then there has to be accountability. In our system, we don't find accountability, and that is one of the reasons that implementation sometimes is disappointing. Loss of lives, project and cost and time overruns. Run across calculation and you'll see in the country how many of our projects, infrastructure projects, they have cost and time overruns. I'm associated with highway projects and I can give you several examples where thousands of crores of projects, they are languishing because of some dispute, some problem on the field. Then coastal disaster risk reduction, which we are expected to talk about, we have to talk about multi-hazard concept. Isolated, you can talk about seawater rise, cyclones, you can about stormwater surges, you can talk about tsunami and so on. But so long as you don't address the question of total safety, which brings the safety of the structures also. It's not the people living there, but infrastructure also. So we will have to therefore look into this as an outstanding opportunity that we use our strengths, we know our problems better, and then we try to celebrate success by revisiting some of the outstanding achievements. Also, in all humility, study the failures, investigate, and learn to accept mistakes and not to repeat them again. Point 9 of PM's 10-point agenda, it says that ensure that every opportunity to learn from disaster is not wasted. Now put your hand on the heart and see that how many of these disasters you have studied in detail and you have learned and used those lessons or plowed back those lessons in very engineering the projects in future. So why disasters are allowed to destroy the same bridge, same building, same location roads again and again? We have to ask this question. Why retrofitted structures fail? In many cases, the new constructions, there are failures. Obviously, the science and technology is not the reason because it's at the peak. It's only the way we conduct ourselves. So there has to be some mid-course corrections. Here is an opportunity to do it. We also should remind ourselves that how far we are from the actual targets. Actually, there has proof of the pudding is in the eating. We say activities, achievements, but what we need is outcome and the impact of that outcome. So Prime Minister's 10-point agenda, which was in November 2016 Asian Ministerial Conference, all development sectors must imbibe the principle of disaster risk management. Let's ask the question. In the context of coastal disasters, Bandra-Worli Sea Link of Mumbai is India's longest sea bridge. What is its story? Has it gone to engineering colleges, the training programs, just to say that how did we integrate disaster mitigation with development planning in the coastal zones? We have said that integration national disaster management plan says this. The chapter of there was a NIDM publication on climate resilient disasters in 2016. The whole chapter devotes onto this. So are we progressing from there on? Mahatma Gandhi River Road Setu in Patna, Hajipur. Again, it's on Ganga, the longest bridge in the world. Now, what is this story? I, as a civil engineer, feel very disappointed when I talk to highway engineers and other places that our best of the engineers are not aware of what had happened and how did we integrate this. So it's a huge national investment we should take advantage of. Way forward. Finally, I would say that we have to see that what can go wrong. Every time you have to ask question, how likely it is, what are the consequences, how best the uncertainties can dealt with, and the problems could be fixed and future disasters could be contained. I would, looking at the constraint of time, finally I would point out 2 or 3 things which are in the, quickly in the concept note. One is that concept note, it says that meteorological disasters, he lists under that heading, cyclones, storm surges, etc. Hydrological disasters, drought, urban floods, geological disasters, earthquake, tsunami, anthropogenic disasters, sea level rise, oil spill. This may be our convenience, but this is not how the nature works. We are, on one hand, we are talking about multi-hazards. This is a point repeatedly had been made on various fora. I have been making it for 15, 20 years now, that in philosophy, we all agree that we have to talk about total safety, multi-hazards, and so on. Take, for example, cyclone triggers storm surges. It becomes a meteorological disaster. Tsunami triggers storm surge. It falls under geological disaster. If a landslide occurs, Ministry of Mines look after it, and it becomes a geological disaster. If earthquake occurs, it's a seismological disaster, and earthquake triggers landslide fall under seismology. So we have to review our plan of 2016, our documents, including the concept note, debate on it. I'm not putting my position as something we should accept. But I am entitled to tell you that these things are to be discussed because riverine floods cannot be left to CWC and urban floods cannot be left to Urban Development Ministry, as our documents say. The floods and when a disaster like Kedarnath occurs, everything occurs together, and we have to provide those kind of service in the multi-hazard safety. So, in the end, I would say that the science communication part is very important, that how we communicate at these meetings. I wanted to give the example of tsunami, how we attended and all that. I won't go into that, but finally, I will conclude by saying that today the question is of not technology and science only, of ethics and moral values. I find multiple facts and alternate facts appearing in documents. I also find different narratives of the same story. Technical deficiencies and gaps are not highlighted. Absence of peer review. As a scientist, I feel very bad that many of the things are seldom put to peer review. There are predatory journals. India actually leads in that, about 300 of them. And plagiarism is there, fake news is there, planted news is there. I'm glad that you are there and you have been organizing events at Prasar Bharati and Nisker. I think that we should also take note of. And every publication of ours should ensure that we are plagiarism-free and everything is duly credited to those to whom the credit belongs. And no publication should be allowed by anyone in the predatory journal. So with this, I would say that I congratulate NIDM for an outstanding effort. I am very glad that NDMA member secretary and other members would be here to carry it forward. Let us succeed because failure is not an option. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for blessing us with your words of wisdom and long experience that you had. Dr. Bhandari has almost more than 5 decades of experience, and the gaps and the strengths he has identified, challenges and strategies. We got a new plan now in 2019 National Disaster Management Plan, and even coastal regulation zones also re-notified considering the vulnerabilities of the coastal areas and the disaster risk reduction in 2019 as well. Now I have the opportunity to invite Dr. Mahapatra ji, Director General IMD, who is well known, better known as Cyclone Man in India. So, in fact, globally for his contributions to this field, I have the pleasure to invite him. Thank you.
Respected Member Secretary, National Disaster Management Authority, Sri JVV Sharma ji, Executive Director, National Institute of Disaster Management, Sri Bhandari Sahab, Sri Surya Prakash ji, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I congratulate ED&IDM and his entire team, especially Surya Prakash ji, for organizing this timely and very important national conference on coastal disaster risk reduction and resilience. As it has been told by the previous speakers, the coastal hazards are posing a serious threat recently. In view of the fact that the socio-economic conditions of our country is changing over the years, there is more and more intervention in the oceanic areas. Government is planning for blue economy. So ocean is being targeted as an area where we can harvest all the potentials to improve our economic conditions. In the micro level, each and every coastal population is also trying to enrich itself with the help of the resources available in the coastal region. At the same time, because of the impact of the climate changes, the study says the frequency and intensity of various types of coastal hazards are likely to change, or changing itself, you can say. Especially when you consider India as a whole, we have got on three sides, west, east, and south, the seas. And hence, we are more threatened by these coastal hazards, unlike the landlocked states. But however, we should feel proud of our organizations, like Minister of Earth Sciences, which has India Meteorology Department, the premier institute, and also the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, National Institute of Ocean Technology, which work together to provide all aspects with respect to these coastal hazards and their management. When you look at to our region, as it has been told that we have various types of coastal hazards, but as a member of the World Meteorology Organization's committee to assess the worst mortality hazards in the world, this region has got a notorious record. In 1970, cyclone, that is Bhola cyclone which crossed Bangladesh, 300,000 people died. And that notorious record goes to this region. That is the highest number of deaths due to the cyclones which has occurred in the past is from this region. If you consider India, there are records where people died 10,000 or more. But however, in recent years, it has been possible with the intervention of science and technology and early warning system to minimize the loss of lives due to the cyclones. But nevertheless, due to the improvement in economic conditions, the damage potential of the cyclones is increasing. The similar cyclone which was causing damage of, for example, 100 crores, now it has got the potential to cause the loss of about 1,000 crores because of the economic conditions in the sea itself, its coastal region itself. So therefore, the need of the hour is not only to minimize the loss of lives further, but also to minimize the loss of properties along the coast. And for this purpose, India Meteorology Department, in association with various stakeholders, is planning to provide, or already providing, the impact-based forecast. That means the damage expected and the actions to be taken to minimize the damage. This is being provided from long back for the cyclones, and we are now planning for the other coastal hazards, which can also provide the impact assessment and based on the risk due to a particular hazard. The next serious coastal hazard which affects the country, of course, the tsunami, though it is not very frequent, but this rarest event can also cause the immense impact. And for this purpose, you will be happy to know that Minister of Earth Sciences, through Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, provides state-of-the-art tsunami warning system. And if you assess the tsunami warning issued by Minister of Earth Sciences, you will find that the false alarms are very, very less in recent years. To carry out this tsunami warning system, INCOES, in collaboration with National Center for Seismology, again under the Minister of Earth Sciences, maintains tsunami buoys in the sea, and also we have got the earthquake observational network in the sea. Of course, there is international collaborations to take the help of the development of science and technology and the exchange of data and information in this regard. The third, but again equally important hazard in this region has been the strong sea conditions because of the distant disturbances, or you can say in technical term, the swell. the swell is nothing but all of a sudden rise in wave height, which becomes disastrous for the shipping community and all marine communities. So we have come up with the global models and also the regional models and location-specific models for the coastal areas to provide the significant wave height and according to provide the wave alert and wave warning through Ministry of Earth Sciences. The fourth one which affects our area here, being a tropical country, is the thunderstorms. The thunderstorms which we call is Kalboisakhi in eastern India, or even it affects the different parts of the country, is not limited to the landlocked area only. We can find out the thunder squalls occurring in the coastal waters. And just 2 years back, some fishermen from the Kerala coast died because of the thunder squalls. So we have come up with a specific numerical weather predictions model developments in recent years for last 2 years to provide not only the occurrence and intensity of thunderstorms, but also the associated adverse weather like lightning, squalls, gustiness, hailstorms, etc. So this information is also being made available, and we are planning for further specific information to the fishermen. During monsoon conditions, sometimes there are very strong sea conditions because of the active monsoons. That also creates hazards. So considering all these, Minister of Earth Sciences continuously expands and enhances its observational network, its analysis systems, tools and technology, forecasting models, and also the early warning disseminations. If you remember Cyclone Oki, which did not cross the coast but created havoc in the deep sea, as our fishermen were cut in the deep sea without any information. It happened because we don't have that type of system where we can reach out to the last fisherman in the deep sea at the time. But every challenge gives rise to an opportunity. And after that, Indian Space Organizations and Ministry of Earth Sciences work together, and we've come up with two systems. One is NAVIC, other one is the Gagan messaging system. And I'm happy to inform you that both the systems have been tested, and sample receivers have been handed over to fishermen to receive the warnings provided by IMD or INCOES with respect to the coastal hazards or deep sea hazards. It's an economic activity. Even if we are discussing here the coastal hazards, the economic activity for a common man like fisherman is not limited to the coast. Nowadays, they don't confine themselves to the coast. They go beyond the coastal areas in search of the better fish catch. So therefore, we are also providing the information for the fish catch. For the first time, last 1 year, Minister of Earth Sciences is providing the forecast for fish catch. But while providing the forecast for fish catch, they also need the information about the hazards in the area where you are expecting the fish catch. So for this purpose, we provide an integrated warning where you have the potential fishing zone and also the weather expected in that potential fishing zone. So these are some of the activities which Minister of Earth Sciences is taking off. Apart from all these early warning systems, we also need some other aspects, as Bhandaresa was talking about, to address the integrated approach for minimizing or reducing the disaster due to all these coastal hazards. One of the important initiative taken in this direction is the multi-hazard scenario. Yes, we have the multi-hazard early warning system. We are improving it further. But that multi-hazard early warning involves many other organizations. So you need some kind of a synergized standard operating procedures. Every department, as Bhandaresa was telling, has its own standard operating procedure. But the hazard is same. So if you want to really address the impact of a particular hazard, you need a multi-hazard, synergized operating procedure. So therefore, all the agencies in the country, they have to work together And to demonstrate that, India Meteorology Department, as a regional specialized meteorological center for tropical cyclones, I was a coordinator, have developed a SSOP, Synergized Standard Operating Procedure, for Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, and the South China Sea. It was in collaboration with WMSCAP Typhoon Committee and WMSCAP Tropical Cyclone Committee. So I will request that NIDM can take a lead to come up with some kind of integrated approach for development of synergized standard operating procedures and other roadmaps to address each and every coastal hazards affecting the country. It may need to have some kind of SSOP with the neighboring countries also, not confined only to our own region. I hope in this workshop we will deliberate and come up with very good recommendations and actionable recommendations. I wish the workshop a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahapatra ji, DG IMD. He's told about the initiatives being taken by at the national level by the IMD in the field of meteorological hazards. Now, since Member Secretary is having some another meetings also, they're quite busy, so I'd not lose much time, and I would invite him to kindly address the gathering as a chief guest of this program. Sir, please.
Respected Dr. R.K. Bhandari, Major General Bindal, Dr. Mahapatra, Professor Surya Kumar, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by stating that this event is a part of the number of events being planned on the occasion of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, which is being held for the third time in the month of May this year. As most of you may be aware, the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction is a forum where everybody is brought together. The UN organizations, the multilateral organizations, the scientific organizations, the state government representatives, and the officials, as well as civil society organizations, come together and deliberate on what is to be done for a holistic disaster management, which is going well beyond merely the response activity. Of course, the response is extremely important. That is the proof of the pudding. Whether all the efforts are correct or not is known only at the time of response. So therefore, nobody can ignore the importance of disaster response. But the idea is to deliberate in a holistic manner and see what are all the steps to be taken by different agencies, because as many of you would appreciate, holistic disaster risk reduction is an activity which is to be performed by everybody. It has a role for scientific organizations in terms of early warning systems and strengthening them, as Dr. Mahapatra has mentioned in his address. It has a role for state government representatives in terms of training, doing capacity building, and taking all the preparatory measures to face a disaster. And also for the communities, for community-based disaster management at the ground level, at the village level, at the multipurpose cyclone shelter level, how to have organized approach, how to have mock drills and rehearsals well in advance, how to give identified specific response for the needs of individual members in the community who may be disabled, who may be senior citizens, who may be the sick, and how to identify that such response is given, and how to give specific role for women, not only as persons requiring support during a disaster, but also in the planning stage and in the capacity building stage, how the role of women can be understood as facilitators and active players as has been mentioned by the Prime Minister in his 10-point agenda, how to recognize all this role. These are all the tasks for the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. As a part of that, today we are focusing on the coastal risk reduction and resilience. Here, I would like to recall that in the recent memory, we had the super cyclone of 99 in Odisha, and we had the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, where we lost a lot of precious lives. But after that, a lot of improvement has happened in terms of strengthening of our systems. INCOIS is one of the major initiatives taken by Government of India in the Ministry of Earth Sciences, as Dr. Mahapatra has mentioned. Now it has provided robust system which covers the warning dissemination for more than 20 countries in the Indian Ocean. Now, for the cyclone risk reduction, a number of measures have been taken by the different state governments. And with the involvement of the state governments, I would like to mention that NDMA also has played a role in the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, where in the first phase, the two states of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha were covered. About 2,440 crores has been spent. In the second phase, we have 6 other states are covered, including Goa, Gujarat, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, and West Bengal. About 1,100 crore rupees has been spent till now. The National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project has different components. One component is for early warning dissemination through multiple modes, including a siren system which can operate at the community level. There is also a component for development of infrastructure which can have role for mitigating the severity of the disaster. And under this component, 538 multi-purpose cyclone shelters have been completed in Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. 1,072 stretches of roads and 35 bridges, 14 saline embankments have been constructed in the phase 1. Similarly, in phase 2, about 353 multi-purpose cyclone shelters construction has been completed. More are under construction. Not only construction of the civil infrastructure, but also to ensure a community-based management of these assets during normal times. That is the key. Therefore, state governments have developed the community-based models where the village community at the grassroots level gets involved in an active manner during the non-cyclone period, during the normal peace time, where the assets are used for various community purposes, including skill development programs, meetings of the self-help groups, including fishermen's products for using as drying yards. A number of activities are being done during normal time so that the assets are intact and the maintenance is taken care. So one of the key features for active cyclone risk mitigation infrastructure is to find effective ways and means of using these assets in the normal time, whether as school buildings or as other community buildings. Similarly, training of the coastal communities and the officials involved in cyclone works, that is also one of the important areas on which NCRMP has been concentrating. And I would also like to mention that after a disaster, post-disaster need assessment is a very, very important requirement, because it is only after a proper need assessment that reconstruction can happen. Therefore, NIDM has also taken a number of measures, and in particular, NIDM has brought out a very scientific, very correct, and very appropriate tool for PDNA. I hope in the years to come, especially with regard to reconstruction and the coastal resilience point of view, I think that there is a greater need for the state governments and all other concerned stakeholders to appreciate the techniques of PDNA and take the cue from the work done by the NIDM and take it forward. I would also like to mention in this context that early warning dissemination is extremely important. As Dr. Mahapatra has mentioned, generating early warning is of course a task which the scientific agencies are performing. But after the initial early warning is given, how to disseminate it among the communities and taking into consideration the possibility that the power may be off, the television may not be working, all these possibilities, how to ensure that despite all this, how to reach the last mile connectivity in terms of communication of the early warning dissemination. That is extremely important. And not only the cyclone and tsunami, I would also like to mention that several parts of the coastline of the country are getting affected by land erosion, what is called the coastal erosion. There have been some mitigation projects which have been done in a scattered manner by different state governments. For example, in Orissa, in Kendrapada district, there is a village called Satvaya. In Satvaya village, the entire village had to be relocated because of the constant threat of the coastal erosion. The sea is coming into the village and the coastal land is getting constantly dissipated and merged into the sea, threatening the lives and livelihoods of the people. Despite all the possibilities of the structural measures, the influx of the sea water could not be stopped. Therefore, there was no other opportunity but to relocate the people. So constant efforts were made to dialogue with the community, identify alternative land, provide alternative land not only for the residential purpose but also for their agriculture and other occupations. So like that, in a successful manner, the relocation of the villagers of Sadbhaya could be completed after many, many years of debate and discussion. This is one example of how an active and participatory village community can help in garnering the support available from the normal funds flow of the government and take up the relocation activities. I would also like to mention in this context, as Major General Bindal has mentioned in his address, after the 15th Finance Commission, a very important long-felt need in the disaster risk reduction as well as in reconstruction and recovery that has been met. And I would like to summarize that in the State Disaster Response Fund for the country as a whole, for 2019-20, we have an allocation of about 13,000 crores, 13,000 crores. Now, for 2020-21, the allocation under SDRMF has now been increased to 28,983 crores. That means from 13,000, the fund availability has gone up to 28,983 crores. It is an extremely substantive increase. And apart from this, you also have the National Fund, NDRMF is also there. And NDRMF and SDRMF have clearly defined windows, 20% for the mitigation, then you have 10% for the capacity building, then you have fund allocated for recovery and reconstruction, then you have a fund for relief and response. So all these four windows have now effectively made a very good availability of the fund. But here is the word of caution that we should not implement programs on a supply-driven approach. We should do them, we should execute the projects, especially mitigation projects, in a manner where it is demand-driven. So the correct demand and the correct needs of the communities and the locations have to be identified very carefully. From the National Disaster Management Authority, we have circulated a draft set of guidelines to the state governments on how the disaster mitigation funds, both at the state level as well as at the national level, will be implemented and how they will be applied. So there is an opportunity for the state governments now to react and offer their comments and suggestions, so that very soon the guidelines will be finalized and issued by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Therefore, this is a very good occasion to plan, and I would also request that during this seminar, during this workshop also, ideas can be suggested on how to utilize this fund which is now available in a demand-driven manner. And I would like to, before concluding, I would like to stress once again that in order to ensure that the last mile job is done properly, the community level, the state government level, at the disaster response level, and by the organizations like National Disaster Response Force, there is no scope for complacency, even though we have done, as a country as a whole, we have done very good improvements in terms of dealing with preventing loss of human life during disasters, especially with regard to coastal region. There is no need for complacency. We have to constantly step up our level of preparedness, and we have to revisit our preparedness plans and also revisit our checklist, whether as per the checklist everything has been done correctly or not, whether all the boats have been pre-positioned, whether all the measures that are required have been done. There is a need to constantly revisit and improve our plans. There is also need for different ministries, including the Ministry of Shipping, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, and all the ministries and the state governments who have a stake in the work for the coastal disaster risk reduction. There is a scope to improve and finalize their disaster management plans in a holistic manner as required by the DM Act. Therefore, there is a constant scope for improvement of our work, and I hope that the deliberations of today's workshop will give more practical and more implementable suggestions. With these words, I wish the workshop all success, and once again I compliment NIDM for having taken this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much for not only providing us information, particularly what the Finance Commission has done and allocation of budgets and what NDMA is doing and what we should also do. And he is also, I'm grateful to him, given us a pathway with the direction that we can think about how we can suggest measures for mitigation funds which has been proposed in the 2021 budget, and also other things that are likely to be addressed during this conference in terms of mitigation measures for sea erosion. Loss of land is a big loss to all of us because we are always scarce of land, and that's why we must care for it and must preserve it, protect it properly. I thank the chief guest for delivering his inaugural address at this occasion. And as a part of our gratitude for this address and his presence by sparing his precious time, I would request ED NIDM to kindly felicitate with a memento, a flower pot. I'd request my colleagues to kindly help me. Please, sir, I'd request kindly give a memento in the form of flower pot to Member Secretary, Shri GVV Sharma ji. He has been always a guiding force for us and a motivational person for us in undertaking all activities since times. I request flower pot for DG IMD, Dr. Mahapatra ji. Please have a big clap for them, and for Dr. R.K. Bhandari. Dr. R.K. Bhandari is dedicated to this area. He'd been director CBRI, also he's headed many organizations, worked for United Nations and also for IIT Roorkee at present. So thanks to all the dignitaries, and I would like to give my personal sense of gratitude toward ED and IDM for giving me this opportunity to organize this conference with all his motivation and leadership and guidance that he has taken the troubles to help us. So, can I declare the now, I would request my colleague, Dr. Harjeet Kaur, who is young professional, actually taking care of this specialized center on coastal disaster risk reduction and resilience, who had taken all the pains to organize this conference. So I would request her to say a vote of thanks at this occasion.
Namaskar and good morning. At the outset, I extend a warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries, Shri GVV Sharma ji, Member Secretary, NDMA, Dr. M. Mahapatra, DG IMD, and Dr. R.K. Bhandari, eminent scientist, and General Manoj Kumar Bindal ji, ED, NIDM, and Dr. Surya Prakash, Professor, Head GMRD Division. It has been an NIDM pleasure to host all the participants of the conference in New Delhi. We have been fortunate to have some of the eminent persons from national organizations working in the area of coastal disaster management. I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to our Executive Director, Shri Manoj Kumar Bindal, for his valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. All this would have been impossible without the support of our 14 knowledge partners. NIDM recognize with gratitude their significant contribution, and we hope to get your support in the future also. I also wish to express my gratitude to our chairs and delegates from their enormous cooperation in the organizing of this event. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Shri Vikram Gujjar ji and his team for the perfect logistic support and guidance he has extended to all of us at this conference. I also extend my sincere thanks to all the members of NIDM family for their enormous cooperation in the organizing of this event. This conference will go a long way in addressing the various aspects of coastal disaster risk reduction and resilience. I wish all the participants at the conference and deliberation all success. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
किसी शायर ने कहा है कि मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती हैं जो सफ़र अख्तियार करते हैं, ऐसे मुसाफिर का तो यारों रास्ते भी इंतज़ार करते हैं. We are trying to start our journey towards disaster risk and resilience in the coastal areas, and I wish all the best. So here we conclude the inaugural, and we'll take a break for a tea, short break, and then we'll gather back. Within 15 minutes, it's 11:10. By 11:25, we'll start the first academic session. Thank you very much.